Okay. And the fourth one sometimes gets people because I feel like kids don't always understand what it is that I'm asking for. And I've tried to reword that question a bazillion different ways. But that one is asking people to make connections between the source and anything that they might have experienced or know. So white man's burden, you could be connecting the word burden to something. You could even be connecting the phrase white man, maybe where you heard it, your feelings about it. I'm gonna kind of scroll in the screen. Send forth the best ye breed. So that part is talking about like slaves and the kind of the cream of the crop of the population that the imperialists have gone into that country. Let's see. You could talk about slavery and anything that you know about it. Even just words like terror, pride, profit, anything that you know about those terms, or you've seen, maybe you've seen it in movies, you read about it in books. You heard your parents talking about, you know, something like it the other night. All of those are fair game to answer that question. What connections do you have to the source? Mariah's, yep. How about you, Grayson?
Yeah, that changes what I was gonna say. So
it does change what you're gonna say?
Yes.
Oh, yay, teacher points for me, huh? Okay. Anything from Adrian in the chat window? No, you can't see anything?
Not yet.
Okay. If I were more adept at the Zoom thing, I would be able to pull up my chat window, but I don't know where it went when I started sharing my screen. So, okay, Adrian. Okay, the fifth one. This is the reliability question, right?
Yeah.
So you have to make an educated judgment on any of these sources. So with this one in particular, white man's burdened, you first want to answer the perspective of Rudyard Kipling. So you might talk about like why he wrote it or how he wrote it, the message that's coming out of the poem. And then you want to put it in historical perspective. Is this poem reliable as far as a historical source? What do you guys think?
Well, I would think it's like very reliable because it's a primary source, and especially because it lines up with other things that we know how like they've treated people. It lines up with that, you know, like kind of that viewpoint. So I'd say it's pretty believable.
Yeah, that's a good answer. You're right. It's reliable in that Kipling lived in this imperialist time, and he's writing from his perspective, whether we agree with it or not. And yeah, it gives us a really good idea of what people that bought into the idea of imperialism thought. Yeah. What do you think, Grayson?
Yeah, it's a reliable source.
Because I'm going to push you a little bit. Why would you say it's reliable?
I'd say it's reliable because it was made during an imperialist time, and it was also made in the 1800s, so it's a reliable historical piece of evidence.
Yeah, and you can be really factual like that too. The way that I kind of think about it is that a primary source was written in the time period about that time period. So I know I'm going to sound a little bit redundant, but Kipling lived during the imperialist era, and he's writing about imperialism. So it's a primary source that way. And again, we go back to the idea that because he lives in this time period, what he's writing about is reliable in the sense that it gives us this perspective from, what am I trying to say? It gives us a historical perspective for this time period, the imperialist period. So, okay, I think we beat that one to death. The last one, number 6, is, oh, it is about perspective, right? Grayson, do you have it up, the assignment? What's it say exactly?
The question is, explain how this sort contributes to our understanding of history.
Yeah, okay. So just off the top, how does white man's burden contribute to our understanding of this period of history?
I would say because it kind of explains, his poem kind of explains a little bit of the time that he lived in, and like what he went through, I guess.
Okay. Is there a part in there, like a line that tells you what you just said?
Well, I haven't really read it yet, so.
Okay. Okay, so that's a good start for when you do read the whole thing and you answer the questions. When you get to number 6, that's going to be like the beginning of your sentence. And then what I always suggest is using a piece of what he wrote. It can just be 4 words, right? Which is most of what these lines are. It can just be a phrase in there, and that's going to be the supporting evidence to back up what you say. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Mariah, do you remember how you answered it?
Well, what I said is that it really like shed some light basically on how exactly white people saw like other races back then, you know?
Uh-huh.
Like using words like half devil and half child, you know? And
Very, yeah.
Yeah, it shows like just exactly like how much they saw them as not being human, basically. So,
That's a good answer and good phrasing. You're totally right. Yeah, good. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second because I wanted to be able to check in with Adrian. Okay, Adrian, I can see my chat window. Oh, hi, Haley. You want to take your microphone off so I can hear you? Maybe?